Recently, National Radio had Murray Brown from eLearning, Julian Lesser, Principal of Pine Hill School, and Principal David McLeod from Maharangi College on to discuss open source in schools. Julian, have you had any issues with compatibility between different Microsoft software versions?
There are still times when I can't read files that have been created on Microsoft on a PC, and sometimes you experience problems with files that I've created on Microsoft Word, for example, that I send off to a board member or something like that, and they can't seem to open them on their version of Microsoft Word either.
What do you think the Ministry of Education should do about Microsoft software?
Microsoft software and computers in schools could probably be better spent in other areas. I mean, we're talking about a huge amount of money for schools. Then I would like the Ministry to come out and say that strategically over the next 3 years that they're going to work towards all schools in New Zealand being guided towards using open source software.
David, what do you think the Ministry of Education will be doing in future with Microsoft software?
I agree with Julian too that we, at the moment, we're very Microsoft dependent, and if the funding was devolved to schools to make our own choices, then that dependence would be lessened.
David, do you find that open source is a viable alternative to Microsoft software?
Well, I spoke to my IT manager about that, and he thinks that he can't see any problems at all in going to the open source software for our school.
Murray, do you now feel that open source is a credible solution in schools?
The open source area has really changed a lot in the last 4 to 5 years. If you were asking me this question 4 to 5 years ago when we were making these decisions, we would have said not. But since then, there are large numbers of big corporations, there are countries, there are whole education systems who are using open source software. Increasingly, the web is another vehicle where software is being provided, and I think that's where we're trying to position ourselves now in the in ensuing years, as being at the end of this round of these 3 years in a much different position. And I agree, we as a key principle of our funding for schools, we do agree that schools are the best places to make these decisions.